Alright guys, so today we are going to be doing CHING number 132. It is so hot outside today, my goodness. We are under a heat wave. It's kind of crazy. I am so ready for fall. It's not even funny. Someone wants an offer. I will take care of that later. Okay, so first thing that we have for CHING number 132 was a Philips breast pump. This was brand new, still sealed. Eric actually found this at a yard sale. I think he paid $2 or $3 for it, and we sold it for $19.99. Next item also came from a yard sale. This was a vintage Pound Purry's pillowcase. I think I paid $0.25 to 50 cents for this, and it sold for $13.99. Next we have a vintage pizza party game. This also came from a yard sale. I think we paid $4 or $5 for this one, and it sold for $59.99. I have found this game quite a few times while out at yard sales, so I have sold it every single time I find it, and it sells for good money. Next item also came from a yard sale. Eric found this. This was a Tiffany style lamp shaped like a clamshell. I think he paid $5 for that, and that actually sold for $85. So that was a good score, Eric. Eric's at the auction tonight. Next we have a pair of Beswick England penguins. These came from an auction, and I'd say I paid $1 or $2 for them, and they sold for $29.99 for the pair. Also sold a vintage Polly Pocket compact play set. This one was a nursery that sold for $59.99. That came from a yard sale where I had purchased a large tub of vintage Polly Pockets. I also sold a Oral-B Pulsar toothbrush for $9.99. This might have came on some tray, like on a tray of some stuff I won at an auction, or potentially I picked it up at a yard sale. I honestly don't remember where that specific toothbrush came from. Next item also came from a yard sale. This was an Eldrith redware pottery jug that sold for $39.99, and I want to say we paid 50 cents for that at the yard sale, which was kind of crazy. Next item came from an auction. This was an Avon spice jar set. We also included a matching salt and pepper shaker, I believe, with this set. These were all shaped like little ceramic cottage type houses. We did win these at an auction for not much. I'd say under $20 we paid for those, maybe like 10 to 12. And they sold for $69.99. So definitely a good spice jar set to find. Some spice jar sets can sell well. I think there's I want to say it's by Lennox, a Lennox set that sells really well. Next item came from a yard sale. This is a vintage from 1991 baby, all gone. Cherries food jar with a spoon. So if you aren't familiar with this toy, it was a baby doll. The little cherry jar was like, you know, a food jar, and it came with this spoon. When you press the spoon down into the jar, it would like release this mechanism where like the cherries would magically appear on the spoon, right? And then when you would put it up against the baby's mouth, it would disappear back into the spoon like she ate it. I had that doll when I was younger, and it was pretty cool because even like the little cherry food jar smelled like cherries. Everything was scented back then. It was amazing. So anyway, picked that up at a yard sale. I paid, I want to say $0.25 a piece for those, or $0.25 for both of them. I don't know. It was insanely cheap, and that sold for $39.99. So definitely like a vintage toy piece that people are really looking for. Next item was a leopard print long sleeve shirt by Buckle. This took for ever to sell, which is one reason why I'm like not the biggest fan of selling clothing. That sold for $6.99. I'm pretty sure I got that at a fill-a-bag rummage sale like forever ago, and I'm sure I screamed hallelujah when it finally sold. Next item came from a yard sale. This was a ceramic by Christ and Company. It was a lady shaped napkin holder. So you would stick your napkins around her dress so it would like make it look like her dress was fuller, that type of thing. I got that at a yard sale. I think I paid $2 for it, maybe $1. And that sold for $29.99. This item did go to a repeat buyer named Chris. This was a cat-shaped gourd by Daphne Scar. That sold for $29.99, and I did get that at a yard sale. This item also came from a yard sale. This was for a vintage ceramic ET shaped head planter. I think I paid maybe $1 at the most for this, and it sold for $19.99. It was incredibly weird. Never seen anything like it before. We also sold a cheese sauce former. So this is actually like a piece that someone would have had in like a food truck or, you know, at a concession stand. It was meant to, you know, keep cheese sauce and things like that warmed up and heated. We won this at an auction, and it sold for $99.99. Also sold a pair of Sam Edelman ankle boots. Those sold for $16.99, and I picked those up at a fill-a-bag rummage sale. I also sold a really pretty ornate metal and glass perfume bottle for $39.99. That came from an auction, and I'd say I paid $5 for that. Next item went to a subscriber named Arlene. She actually purchased this as a gift for someone. This was a Franklin Mint Dale Earnhardt pocket watch that sold for $19.99, and Eric actually picked that up at a yard sale. Next item also came from a yard sale. This was for a Spanx shapewear tank top that sold for $12.99, and I got a couple pieces of Spanx tank tops at that yard sale, and I'd say I paid $1 or $2 a piece for the Spanx. I also sold a pair of Tommy Hilfiger suspenders for $25.99, and these came from an auction. They were on a tray of some stuff that I won, but they were brand new, so I decided to list them, and they sold. Next item was also like on a random tray of some stuff I won at an auction. It was for a lot of paper doilies. These were all red, and those sold for $12.99. Also sold a vintage ceramic climbing cat figure that sold for $39.99, and pretty sure that also came from a yard sale. Same way with this next item, also from a yard sale. This was a Goebel Valentine's Day figure of Tweety Bird. I think I paid $5 for that, and it sold for $29.99. I sold a Blossom Bucket Snowman Angel candle topper. I picked this up at a fill-a-bag rummage sale, and that sold for $9.99. This item came from an auction. We won this vintage from 1982 metal trash can, and this actually had a really cool graphic of the Atari Centipede. So this is kind of like a rare find. There weren't any listed, and there hadn't been any listed on eBay in a long time, at the time that I sold this and listed it. So just a really cool piece, perfect for anyone who has kind of like a gaming room and that type of thing. That sold for $147.50, and like I said, we did win that at an auction, and I'd say we paid $30 or less for it. I sold 2 Monet trinket boxes. These went to the same person, I believe. She buys a lot of Monets. I don't think you know, she's a subscriber. She's just someone who collects Monet trinket boxes. So she purchased a gingerbread house-shaped trinket box for $32.70. And then also one that was shaped like a pile of presents that sold for $29.99. Those came from an auction where Eric had purchased a bunch of Monet trinket boxes. We still have Monet trinket boxes. I feel like we will forever have Monet trinket boxes. They sell here and there. Let's see. We have a porcelain flower frog brick that sold for $29.99. That came from an auction, and I'd say $5 or less for that. Next item also came from an auction. This was for a really old German Bible. This was from 1813. It had a metal clasp on it. I'd say we paid about $50 or so for the Bible, and it sold for $199.99. Also sold a vintage from 1982 Hot Wheels patrol car for $12.99. That came in a lot of some vintage toys that I had won at an auction. Next item was a cross-stitch kit by Busilla. This was called Mother and Child. That sold for $39.99. That also came from an auction. I'd say $5 or $6 we spent on that. Sometimes it's hard getting cross-stitch kits at the auction. It just depends. Sometimes you make off with some at a really good price, and other ones you have to pay up for if they're worth, you know, more. The next 4 items came from an auction. These were all wooden cookie or butter molds, and I feel like Eric was paying like $1 to $3 a piece for these. It wasn't much. So I sold 4 to the same person. The first one was of a butterfly. There were 2 different butterflies on it. That sold for $22.99. They also purchased a lighthouse for $19.99. Also purchased a church for $19.99, and then one of an owl also sold for $19.99. And I'm also gonna post up this next one here. They also won a Christmas one. It had 6, I believe it was 6 different like Christmas shapes on there, and that one sold for $30. I also sold another Polly Pocket compact play set. This one was of a dress shop that sold for $99.99. Came from that same tub of Polly Pocket toys. Next item came from an auction. This was for a really beautiful art glass vase by someone named John Minkemeyer. That sold for $99.99. Like I said, that did come from an auction, but I feel like we won that with something else. Like, it wasn't just that vase. I think it came with another vase that we had won. And that one actually went overseas. Someone from overseas did buy that. We sold a Steve Irwin talking doll. Rest in peace, Steve Irwin. This here, we picked this up at a yard sale. It sold for $22.99, and I think we paid $1 or $2 for it. I also sold a vintage, this was like a child size t-shirt of the Bit O' Honey candy. I love those things. They are so good. That sold for $19.99. Let's see. Here's another Monet trinket box. This one was of a bird nest that had some blue bird eggs inside. That one sold for $72. Again, a Monet trinket box auction. The next is a lot of 2 bluebirds of happiness. So there was like a little tiny one and then a little bit of a larger one. Those sold for $21. And I feel like I got those at an auction, I want to say, for like $2 or $3. I also sold a Willie Ray candle topper. This one was of a cat in a picnic basket. I do believe I got that at a yard sale. It sold for $12.99, and I'd say I paid $1 or $2 for it. Next item came from a church sale. This was a Bob Mackie embroidered sweater that sold for $22.99, and again, $1 or $2 for that. Here's another set of those Avon cottage pieces, but these ones were mugs. It was a lot of 4 of those, and they sold for $39.99, and I'm pretty sure they came in the same lot with those like spice jars that I showed earlier. Also sold a pair of Torrid Bombshell skinny jeans for $19.99. They came from a yard sale, and I paid $1 for those. These next Teddy Ruxpin tapes. This was a whole lot of Teddy Ruxpin tapes with the books that they go to. Sold that as a lot for $36. They also came from a yard sale, and I think I paid $2 for the whole shebang of them. Also sold another trinket box. This one was by Boyd's, and it was called Millie's Knitting Basket. That sold for $45.99, and I think we picked this one up at a yard sale for $5. Next item came from an auction. This was a vintage, I think from 1966, I want to say, a Little Kittles Sleeping Biddles play set. So like a Sleeping Beauty play set. I want to say, I probably paid about $50 for that at the auction, and it sold for $159.99. Next was a Felipe. Oh my goodness. Someone came in here, I didn't realize it, and left me a present. Look at Amelia's toy. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Oh, it's her little blueberry. Oh, she is the most precious thing ever. Okay, what she's trying to tell me is, Mom, get off of there and come play with me. Almost, Amelia. Got a little bit left here. So we have this Felipe Derflinger Brutalist glass mug that sold for $26.99. This actually, I think, came from an auction. I know I had purchased a couple of these at a yard sale, but these ones here came from an auction, and that one sold for $26.99, and I was selling you know, just different ones here and there. So I don't know if I have any more of them left or not. I'll have to look. Next item was a Norman Brum copper enamel plate. This one featured some pansy flowers on. That sold for $59.99, and that came from an auction. Next item also came from an auction. This was a Department 56 Snow Babies figure of like a little snow baby on a tractor. That sold for $39.99, and I'd say we paid about $5 or $6 for that. Sold a miniature blown glass cat family. That sold for $17.99, and that was on a tray of some stuff that I won at an auction. Next item also came from an auction. This was for a really cool mask. It was from Costa Rica, and it was called a Baruca mask, if I am pronouncing that correctly. This thing was super cool, very large. That sold for $225, and I'd say we paid less than $30 for it at the auction. And last thing that I have is a Coach Taxi tote purse that sold for $89.99, and I'm pretty sure that one came from a yard sale, and I'd say $10 or less for that. I want to say it was $8. But that is everything for this cha-ching. Guys, I am up 30%. 30% last 31 days. Sales are up. Sales are going good right now. Gotta knock on that wood. I'm a little bit superstitious at times. Yeah, sales have been doing good. This was the week of Labor Day weekend. So hopefully everyone saw like an uptick in sales. I feel like a lot of people, even on like some of the eBay groups also saying they had a lot of sales through the Labor Day weekend, and I definitely noticed that myself. So that's always great. It's really, you know, that's considering like the bit of what I felt like summer was kind of, we were in a slump a little bit. So it definitely was nice to be getting like some consistent sales and consistent good sales. So hopefully that keeps continuing. Just gotta keep on listing. Yard sales are this weekend. I think it's calling for rain, which I just feel like the past couple of weeks yard sales have been very dry. There hasn't been much good stuff lately, and or the weather hasn't been the greatest. So we're gonna at least try and get out to some yard sales this weekend. But yeah, like I said, it just hasn't been very good lately as far as yard sales go. So there's that. And it's been so hot, like it's just crazy hot. I don't understand why it's so hot. I'm so ready for fall. We're in September, so we're still gonna have some hot days, but you know, I personally am ready for fall. We started semi-decorating for Halloween yesterday. Definitely not done yet. We just kind of like brought up all of our bins that have all of our Halloween stuff in, and we'll probably just work on that every day until it's all put out. I don't know if I'll have like a Halloween collection video or not this year. I feel like I got a decent amount of new stuff, but we'll see, because I feel like from year to year, for the most part, my decorating for the holidays looks very similar, with like the exception of like a couple new pieces here and there. So I still might do one. I actually, so I've been really good with not buying a whole lot on Whatnot. I go through spurts sometimes where like I get on Whatnot and I just buy stuff, and sometimes I've been, you know, I buy stuff to resell, and then other times I'm just buying stuff for myself, and it can be a little addicting, I'm not gonna lie. Like Eric actually had to tell me the one day, like, Michelle, like, you might have to cool it a little bit with your Whatnot spending, because I don't even realize that like I'm spending a whole lot, you know what I mean? Because it all like adds up. So I had watched a show the other week and I bought something, and then I watched another show and I bought something else, and then I watched another show and I bought 3 somethings, and then I watched another show and I bought 2 more somethings. So I did like tell him first, like, Eric, there are a couple Halloween pieces that I would really like to have for our collection. And, you know, I let him know like what I was wanting and willing to spend on them. Like I shopped around first. I made sure that like I couldn't get it like cheaper somewhere else or anything like that. And I couldn't. So he was like, you know what, just go ahead, you know what I mean? Because he's wanting to shop for Halloween stuff too. He actually purchased something on eBay the other day for our Halloween collection. So, you know, but it can be addicting to, because it's just so easy to just go on there and shop and spend money, and then you're like not even realizing how much you're spending. It's just like, okay, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. But I typically like don't find a whole lot of stuff that I want on there, kind of thing. But like I've been watching a couple people who just have like really nice things, and the one lady that I have been watching that I've been buying a couple pieces off of, she has a lot of like Bethany Lowe and Lori Mitchell and those types of artists that, you know, I really like. It's more contemporary Halloween, but their stuff's made to like look like the old stuff kind of thing. It has that like vintage look or like the folk art type of look to it. And that's kind of how I started with my Halloween decorating personally. It was that kind of stuff I was finding at yard sales and buying to decorate with before we really got into like the older stuff and things like that. So I still really like that stuff. And Eric is more into the older stuff. He's more into like the pulp things, like the pulp lanterns and things like that. Like those are his favorites. So I still like buying those pieces because those pieces, like after they're retired, you know, they're no longer making them. I'm talking about like the contemporary type stuff. Like she had a lot of stuff from like the early 2000s. Obviously that stuff isn't being made anymore. Like those were retired pieces, and those pieces even nowadays are going up in value. So I do think like over time they will continue to go up in value. So you know, and I just like picking those pieces up when I see them, and I like them because they are also getting harder to find once, you know, they become retired. So needless to say, I have quite a lot of packages coming from Whatnot. So I'm probably like, once I get all of those packages, I'll probably do kind of like a Whatnot Halloween haul because yeah, I'm really excited about the pieces that I purchased. So, you know, I want to share them with you guys as well. But that's just kind of a little bit of ramble as to Whatnot being addicting, but it's so much fun. It can be infuriating too, like watching some people, just because like not everyone like puts what they're gonna be selling into their like store kind of thing. So you almost have to just like dedicate the time in your day to sit down and watch them in hopes that they will show something that you're gonna want to buy. So it's very time consuming in that aspect, and you don't always have time to just sit and watch someone in the hopes that you're gonna see something you want. And then you'll have people who don't do that, and they'll just be panning around, and then they'll get like sidetracked and then go back to something else while you're still trying to like see what they're like panning at to see if there's even going to be anything, you know, that you're going to be interested in. And sometimes it like makes you half sick, like watching the camera, and oh my gosh, it bugs me sometimes. It really does. Whatnot bugs me sometimes, but I have been finding a lot of nice pieces on there, so I'll keep looking. But I'm probably gonna have to slow down at least my Halloween shopping because I don't want Eric yelling at me. He's not gonna yell at me, but like he really did honestly have to tell me because I didn't realize like how much I was spending. I was just kind of like, I saw it, I wanted it, I bought it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that Ariana song, right? I want it, I got it. I want it, I got it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video. I think that's all I really have to talk about. I know it wasn't a whole lot of like eBay talk or anything like that. I seem to always go off on like Whatnot tangents. But speaking of, I am going to be doing a Whatnot Halloween show. I think I have it scheduled for next Tuesday, I want to say. I don't have everything in yet, but it will be in before, you know, I ever do my show. So I still gotta like find stuff to put in my show. But that's pretty much everything. I'm gonna go get off here so I can play with Amelia, give her back her blueberry here. She needs a new one. Oh my gosh, speaking of, yesterday Eric and I went to Sam's Club, and they have these huge, they're like Squishmallows but not Squishmallows, these huge Squishmallow-esque toys, and they had this really large boba tea there, and I bought it for her. And She really likes it. Eric likes it too. We took a couch nap earlier and Eric used it as a pillow and she actually laid on top of it with him whilst they were both like laying on top of me type of thing. So it was so cute. I wish there would have been a picture. There should have been a picture, but there's not a picture. But just imagine that, all three of us on the couch with a big boba tea pillow, all cuddled up taking a couch nap. It was so relaxing. But that is everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and I will see you next time.